when we talk about young women in political leadership, how is it possible to bridge the gap, especially when you talk about policy and the implementation of those policies?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I remain Dr. Nohan Nachi. The most interesting thing about politics is the level of involvement it takes. Sometimes, most of us will sit at the back and you hear politicians, you think the politician has no background, like all of us seated here. No one you see as a politician that has no background. You just see they're a politician. It's just like when you pick up me and you say, hey, who is this man? He's a politician. But when you pull the rug and look through it, you realize that he has a first degree, he has a master's, he has a PhD, he has done other courses, he has worked in places, but decided to be interested in leadership. What am I trying to say? Being a politician is a consign that you have developed about leadership. If you don't develop that consign, there's no way you're going to be active in it and actually enjoy what you do. Politics is about, some people you see them, they just give you the attitude they're not interested in politics. When you're not interested, I don't know what else you could be interested about, because politics determines the road you're going to use, the hospital you'll be treated, the school you will attend, and why can't you be interested? So bringing it down to the women being involved or the young women being involved, let me take it from a general point of view, young people being involved. For every political activities that happen in Nigeria, as my own country, you realize that those that make it happen are between the age of 40 to 25. The policeman that will be plotted in to do one activities belong to that age. They're not going to put senior officers on the road on the election day. They're going to put the young police officers. The INEC workers that will be on the field that day belongs to that age bracket. They're not going to put the senior INEC rec on the street. Those ones are going to sit in the office. But then the question we'll ask ourselves, what have we been able to do with that opportunity presented on that election day? Do we go to that election field and compromise? When we do that, we don't come back and blame the old men that sit in their offices, in their houses, chilling. And then we'll say, oh, this is what is happening. Da, 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 da. No. If you take a full record, if INEC is going to conduct the election today, there are likelihood they will engage 500,000 ad hoc workers across Nigeria. And these ad hoc workers are who? They are young men and women from different brackets. What do we do with that assignment? Do we sit in the polling booth? Do we sit in the accreditation stage and we allow ourselves to be manipulated because of immediate need? When we subject ourselves to that, it becomes a question. So the attitude of the young people, there should be clear attitudinal change, which will actually help to build us into the expected electoral process. I'm bringing it out to the young ladies and the women in politics. Well, on a party basis, look at it from party structures. The two most people I've worked with that I spent a very long time are women that I work with as my boss. Most of you know Dora Kunyere of blessed memory. How many of us can remember her? I worked with Dora in her most active time in politics. But guess what? She will tell you the people that don't like her is women. I don't know what she has done to them. So the question that we'll bring back to the young ladies is, what is it among yourself that you can encourage yourself into the business of politics? Because if you there's no political party today that electable forms are for sale for women. It is free. Even if you're doing party primaries to elect party executives, for them to become one of those to be elected, it is free for the form. But the question you ask yourself, what are those things that hinder them? Is it psychological, mental, otherwise? But even when you put a woman out to run, I remember about some years back, that was 2011, first time in the history of my party, PDP, a woman came out, a young lady came out to contest youth leader. Behold, it was the tough party women, former ministers that were lady. They say, no, this job, youth leader for women, for this girl. No, 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 no. We need a man who can be the youth leader. Say, it's youth leader. The youth is not sex-based. It is youth leader. And I was one of those that I encouraged her. I said, please continue this race. We'll give you all the support you need.
All right.
Despite she lost the election by 4 votes, but it's on record that she contested it to the end.
Okay.
But so I think I will leave that.
All right. You are already blaming women for the downfall of women. That's what they say. Every time they push it to the doorstep of the women, they say women are not supporting each other. Someone once said it's a blackmail. That's what somebody said, not me. But let me go to, I'm coming to Mrs. Rose Wachuka because you are from the justice system. Okay, Rose, you are from the justice system in Kenya. And when we take a look at our laws, it has to do with even policy. And a lot of persons have said the challenge we'll have is implementation of these policies. Now, young women in leadership position, vis-a-vis policy making and implementation, what is the challenge?
They now work. Allow me to start by requesting the honorable member to help us in making this panel a neutral space and to respectively discharge of the political statement that you have on your head. Thank you very much. Allow me to also disabuse the notion that young women are afraid of political spaces or young people are afraid of political spaces. What I have had here today is an explanation that young people are only relegated to employment on election day. That is not the narrative or the conversation we're having today. The conversation we're having today is the right to be in parliament, the right to be in Congress, the right to be on the ballot. That is the conversation we're having today. So let's not get sidetracked by the fact that political leaders who are women, who've gone before us, have said that they can't withstand the pressure of political spaces. Political spaces are violent spaces. These patriarchal spaces are violent spaces. They do not provide women, young women, or even the youth the opportunity to be in them without a fight. And so I have to start from that point. And being in the justice system, and having been a politician myself, I can say that politics matters. And when we talk about politics, we're not talking about being employed on election day to deliver ballots. It's important. We value that work. But we are talking about the right to be on the floor of parliament and to fight against a system that is traditionally exclusive. That is what we're talking about. And I think, I mean, Nigerian women, you should be in revolt of narratives that tell you that you're the enemies to each other, that you're the enemies of women inclusion in politics. That is a lie. And you have to disabuse yourselves of the notion that because of you, the patriarchy is turning the narrative on its head. That is violence in operation. And you have to reject it. You must. And you must call out policies that exclude you. Because actually, politics is important. The way you walk, the way you eat, the way you sit, the way you speak, your hair, how you dress, that is all political. That space is political. And so what I'd like to call for is multi-generational movements. Don't be patronized. Don't be put to the test to answer what you do with the 2 hours you're given on election day to work for the elections, to work for the patronage. As they negotiate that system that is exclusionary, the men's club, that's not the place. And those are the systems that we are saying we are going to continue to form coalitions to interact with information, the right information, to call out exclusion, and to take up available spaces. Let me pause for now, but I'd like to thank the honorable member for honoring this space as a neutral space. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And Honorable, thank you for that respect. I think it's a good one. Now let's move ahead as I call on Mrs. Jaha Dukureh. She is from the Gambia, as well as the founder of Safe Hands for Girls and a NALA Council member. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, you've listened to what Honorable said, and you've also listened to the reply from our sister. And she corrected Honorable that women are not enemies of women. Now, but we're talking about policy here, as well as the implementation of policies that can enable women take leadership positions in the various political climes. So one, you first of all tell us what the challenge is and see if we can proffer a solution.
Thank you very much for having me. Like you said, my name is Jaha Dukureh, and I am the founder of Safe Hands for Girls. I spent most of my life working on violence against women and girls, ending female genital mutilation, child marriage, starting with my own organization, and then working within the UN system as the UN Women Regional Goodwill Ambassador for Africa, and then now managing the Sahel's Women's Economic Empowerment for Demographic Dividend, which is a project within the World Bank that's in about 7 to 9 Sahel countries at the moment. And a lot of what we do is women's empowerment projects. But when it comes to politics, the experience that I have was last year, I was actually called to come back home to the Gambia by the oldest political party in the Gambia, and I was the vice presidential candidate in our last presidential elections. Even though Gambia doesn't necessarily have like a running mate, but this political party decided to do that for the first time, and I think the reason being is they understand the importance of having women participate, but having women participate fully as well. Because a lot of times it's not about tokenism, right? It's not about just making sure that you have a young woman at the table. It's about the capacity that that young woman has. It's about what she brings to the table, right? And this is, I believe in honesty and being completely transparent, right? Just from my experience, when I was called to come back home, the people that fought me the most and the people that undermined me the most were not the men in my party. It was the women in my party. And I remember the first time that I cried on the political campaign, it was because of an older woman. And the reason being is she came to me wherein, first of all, she had a problem with the fact that I asked people if they were okay, because I grew up in the US as well. And coming to someone and just asking them, are you okay? How are you? And she thought that it was rude that I kept asking people how they were. And then there was a day that she came to me and she asked me what my qualifications are. And I told her what I do at the World Bank. And then she looked at me and said, the people that I know that work for those institutions are usually very high skilled and very highly educated. So which means that indirectly, she was telling me that I was not fit to be where I am. And all my career, I've been looked at as the girl that's sitting at platforms because she looks the way she looks, maybe because she's too pretty, or maybe because she's with someone, or men are helping her, when that has not been the case. But in a positive light, throughout my career too, the people that have helped me, the people that have uplifted me have always been women. Madame Fumzile of UN Women, she's like a mother to me. And without her, I don't think I'll be sitting here. When I was 15 and I was sent from the Gambia to the US for a forced marriage, the woman that saved me out of that marriage and saved my life when I attempted suicide, her name is Taina Bianame. And when I walk into a room, right, I don't just walk in as Jaha. I walk in and I bring those women along. So I think as women, right, it's good for us to check the patriarchy, but it's also good for us to check ourselves. Because if you don't think that as a woman, I am fit enough to lead you, but you're okay with a man leading you, you're okay with a man making laws about your body, you're okay with a man telling you what to do and how to do it, but when a young woman or even a woman, for that matter, stands up and dares to do the same thing, most of the time, we ask them who they are. I remember the founder of my party. Some of you might know him. His name is Halifa Sallah. He's known as one of the most honest politicians in all of Africa. And I respect the man. I love him. I consider him one of my heroes. He was asked on national TV if I was going to be the presidential candidate, and he said, why not? She is qualified. She is educated. She has more empathy than a lot of the people that are running. I have a right. If I want to be the president of the Gambia, I am a citizen. And I have every right, just like every single man. And all of the men that ran for office in the Gambia, except Halifa Sallah, none of them are more educated than I am. None of them are more experienced than I am. But as a woman, no one looks at what they care about is who I'm married to, who I've slept with, what I'm wearing, if I'm too skinny or too fat. And these are all the questions that I hear. And I think we have a responsibility right now, because of the spaces that we occupy and the jobs that we have and the platforms that we have. We need to make sure that it's not just us in those spaces. We need to make sure that we are also opening the gate so that other people are able to make it there. Because then if not, we are not true to what we are saying. So for me, as long as I love to give credit to the women that have helped me sit here and be here, but I would also acknowledge how toxic it can be in some of the spaces that we occupy. Even when it comes to the intergenerational dialogues that we keep talking about, a lot of times we say that the older women don't want to help us, right? But a lot of times too, we realize that when we call upon them, they think we are trying to move too fast. So all of us in this room, both the older and the younger women, let's be each other's keepers, right? And let's be more empathetic towards each other and realize that no one has it easy. Just because I'm sitting here and I'm young doesn't mean that it was ever easy for me. I went through female genital mutilation when I was 1 week old. I became a child bride twice in my life. And what I deal with when I'm not in front of people, no one understands that. So when you see me, don't just see my success. Think about what it took for me to get here. Think about the resilience for me to stand up and say that as a former child bride, I am going to be the president of the Gambia in 2026. Oh. I promise you that.
Thank you so much. You see, Jaha has a spirit of not giving up. And that's what every woman should have. In the society where we live in today, definitely they will want to pull you down. If you've not been there, you will not know what it looks like. If you've not contested elections before, if you've not gone ahead as a young Nigerian to say, I want to dare them, I have the money, I want to become something in my country, and try to vie for a position that you think they won't allow you. Once you're 18, you can do that. Itodo, I think so. Samson. Once you're 18, you can vie. 25, that's in Nigeria. But does that apply in other countries in Africa? No. So in Nigeria, you have to be 25 to vie. But she has just given you an example. No matter what you have gone through, whatever you're going through, no matter how they try to pull you down, don't let the rope off your hands. So let's quickly go to Rosebell. Yes. I know you've listened to the man and the two women here. And this time around, from what Jaha said, it is not about the policy, but about the people who bring down your spirit when it is high. But we are looking at implementation of the policy and also the challenges that you will face as a young woman to vie for a political position. in your country. What do you have to say?
Thank you so much. So, as a feminist, I believe the persona is political. And if we can bring the persona into the political arena and address it in a healthy way, we cannot solve our community problems. But that said, what is politics? We tend to jump onto president, being MP, we have to recognize what kind of system are we operating in. Nigeria, I'm from Uganda. Nigeria, Uganda, all these are colonial constructs. There was no Nigeria 200 years ago. There were different nations, and there are still nations in this country. So we are seated in colonial constructs, fighting each other in a construct that British made for purposes of exploitation. That state is still exploiting us as it was meant to be. So we must decolonize our approaches to governance. Yeah? It is not by mistake, it's rather by design that the colonial system would bequeath the state to men. They had uprooted all semblance of equality, gender, and everything, and the culture, and the next people who had been educated, take over from them, were men. Women were marginalized. So even when we talk about politics, why should I have a university degree to deserve to lead you? That is very classist, and it is embedded in the colonial subjugation. Because anyone in your village should have a right to vie. Why should I need millions of naira to approach an office? Very violent. Economic violence. We cannot normalize the idea that I need millions of naira to want to lead my country. You have already discriminated hundreds and hundreds of millions of Nigerians from office. Let's not even accept that as a yardstick. We should be looking, how do we make it easy for people's potential to come forward? Yeah? So we have to understand the state within which we are operating in. Then we can understand who is marginalized in that state and who is advantaged in that state. So if millionaires are the only ones to actually lead you, who is going to listen to your cries? Who's not going to know about fuel prices when nobody knows what a fuel price means, right? So we need to contextualize this. So I needed us to pull back to understand then what is the kind of system are women trying to push in? This is a system where 20 years ago, even up to now in some areas where they said, you are a woman, you can't board a bus. She just told us. You are a woman, you can't go to school. You should just belong to a kitchen. These things have not gone away even when you're educated. Even the older women you're dealing with, they carry trauma, they carry pain, right? And we must be able to recognize that pain, that what that political system has made them, hardened, right? Because they fight with all their life to even be that. Why does Nigeria have a secretary general, undersecretary, have WTO executive director or general, secretary general? I could name a million Nigerian women I know, awesome women, qualified. Why don't you have them in your parliament? How come you're pushing them out of your country? Why, doesn't it sadden you? Because for me, anybody could lead the UN, a million Africans could go. But how come the most brilliant people leave your country? And you push your own women who are this brilliant, they cannot even influence your own laws. You have a parliament that does not even have close to 30% of women. It's shameful. So we cannot, doctor, you cannot victim blame here. You can't say, what have you done to come here? The issue is systemic violence. You're not educating girls. Even when they're educated, then you say you need a million naira. We know that communally, economic violence affects women. But even when we are looking at gender equality, it means that a poor man in your country has no right to lead. That should concern you. It should concern you. I am not interested in being led by millionaires. Those are not leaders. Those are crooks invested in robbing the resources of a country, while ordinary people don't go anywhere. And unless you connect your struggle, I ask any man who is dealing with this, how come you can understand why you're violated as a man by your country? But you fake ignorance when women start talking about their reality. You fake ignorance. You're not ignorant. You come from these households where young girls are being married off, where young women are being raped. But you think that same girl is going to be having the same journey as you when you've been given resources? It's not the same. You have to pave the way. You have to remove the barriers. So we are not here to blame women. We must identify what are those barriers. If parties have a quota, how much have you effected that quota? Do you even have quotas in your party to say 30% of this has to go to women? If it is, are you actually fulfilling that quota? If you haven't, does the Constitution say you actually as a party should not be recognized because you have marginalized women? There should be a price for you to be in the political arena and continue to uphold gender discrimination. You know, and women are not the same. So what does it mean when you go and find women whose fathers were presidents, ambassadors and stuff, and that's the cohort you're leading, and you say, oh, we have some women here. These are privileged class women. Yeah? We have to be honest. These are not women who understand how to live. You grow up in a slum, in a rural area. They are invested in upholding their family names and everything. So women are not homogeneous, my friend. When you put a woman in front of me, I want to know their story. Whom are they connected to? Have they fought? Do they understand? Or they were a daughter of so and so and so and so. And those are the people that fill in your parliament. And then you want to tick off and tell a village woman, like a village guy, you too can be good. You can be like that. I can't be because my father is not the emir of Sokoto or wherever. You understand? I cannot be. My journey is not the same. So stop saying young women, young men, women. We have so many intersecting barriers. If you're from a minority, I talk about decolonization a lot in the state as we know it, right? If you're from a minority ethnicity, yeah, in Uganda, for example, and we have adopted this idea that Western idea of democracy, that democracy is the rule by majority. So abhorrent. The majority is not always right. And the majority doesn't necessarily bring everybody to the table. So if I'm from a minority tribe, indigenous tribe, marginalized, I will never have, some of those tribes will never have even a person at a village council because they don't have the numbers. We must dismantle the idea of Western governance systems and look at equality and liberation. Okay. African women liberated our states, but at independence, you take over all resources, all men. It is not normal, my friend. Me, I can't enter places where men are majority because I already know you're going to violate me. Anyone who is comfortable in a place where only men are to liberate on national matters, that is violence. You have already subscribed to a system of violence. It should make you think. It should make you uncomfortable. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosabel. If I go with the last line, if you find yourself in an environment where you are in minority, maybe just 2 women against 30 men, then that is violence. So that means the parliament in this country is violating women openly. This is openly violating the women of this country. That's what it means. So let's come to Muhwezi from the Uganda. She is the executive director, Forum for African Women Educationalists. Thank you so much. I like your calmness.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. I'm speaking last, so I'll be just making a synthesis of what has been said. My name is Martha Muhwezi. I'm from Uganda, but I'm based in Nairobi. I'm the executive director of FAWE, and FAWE is a Pan-African organization, Africa for Africa. And our business is women and girls. Having said that, I've listened to all the conversations. But I want to say one thing is that gone are the days when people sat in boardrooms, when people sat in parliament and made decisions on behalf of the young people. Gone are the days when we said we are advocating for the young people. We are advocating with them. We are advocating. It's joint. It's a joint effort. And the most important is giving the young people knowledge and information. Once they are empowered with knowledge and information, they will advocate for their own rights. Once they know their rights, once they know their entitlement, you don't have to struggle. And that's what we believe in as FAWE. We put girls at the front, boys as allies, and tapping on the wisdom of the elders. And that alone gives them what they need. They need space. You know, there is saying that we are giving the young people space. But at times it is imaginary space. It's not physical space. The policies are there. The rules are there. But what is the implementation? Who is going to implement it? It's the young people. And if they are going to implement those policies, then they need to understand the policies. They need to understand what is in there. They need to understand what is good in there and what's bad in there. And if they do have that understanding, then they have the space. Then they have the platform. Looking at politics, I've heard it said women pulling other women down. Of course, those are the stories of every day. But who doesn't pull who down? Don't the men do it? They do it. And when they do it, how is it taken? It's normal. It's normalized. When a woman does anything, because woman is human, and so anybody can do it. Anybody can pull you down. And so we should not look at a specific race, a specific gender. Don't be afraid of men. Don't be afraid of women, because anybody can bring you down. And once everybody understands that, then we shall stop the blame game, because anybody can do anything. It depends on how you present yourself. It depends on what you're saying. It depends on what you want to do and how you want to do it. So usually I keep talking to the women that put yourself in every age group. Make yourself 12. Make yourself 16. Make yourself 18, 35, 40, and 70. Once you put yourself in those different age groups, you will understand the challenges of each and every age group. Every woman has challenges. It's not about being experienced in politics. There's nothing like being experienced. Even the very seasoned ones fall. Even those that we may think are very strong, they will still fall. And what does that mean? We need to support each other, irrespective of where we are. And that is through advocacy, talking for everybody. Let's not keep quiet. Let's not bury our heads under the sand. Let's speak. And as FAWE, I want to conclude, I know we don't have enough time, but one of the pillar projects that we have, or programs that we have, is empowering young people. We have a model which is called Tuseme. Tuseme is a Swahili word meaning speaking out. It's about making women assertive, making them know their right. Let them speak out. When you're harassed, speak out. Society will tell you, keep quiet. Your father has sexually abused you, they will tell you, keep quiet. Your uncle has sexually abused you, they will tell you, keep quiet. It's a taboo. Don't talk about it. The moment we keep silencing all the evils, then we are creating a bigger problem. Thank you so much.